Very, very
So many notes.
As long as I got a Stell Getty next to me, I'm
I
all
should have
set.
brought a folder.
You want? We could get you a folder. Can you get Colin a folder, please?
Just so I at least
just
feel
an
like-
empty one. Just get him a folder.
Just an empty one.
Please.
And I'll quickly create some files.
We're doing another one after this?
We are.
You guys are fucking, come on, man.
Relentless.
Jesus Christ.
Your schedule's so high.
Marathons.
I'm like a little fucking Asian in here. All right.
Colin, and guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but we came up with this earlier. We usually do. We're doing this backwards. We do an A side and a B side. We would have done the A side before, but because of scheduling, we're going to do it after. So normally I would call you on the phone and I'd say, "Hey man, we're going to order some pizza. What's on your pizza, right?
Yeah,
What do you want on it?" But I think we came up with something a little different.
Yeah.
We were, instead of doing that because you're sitting right here, the phone
yeah.
call's obsolete. Maybe you getting. And if you don't want to do it, it's totally cool. But you getting kind of mad that you're the third Jost on the show. Like you're the last one.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Or is that including Lisa? Or
Yeah,
was my
yeah.
dad? Was my dad?
We haven't had your dad on yet. Yeah. Well, we can pretend like we had your parents on.
We have talked about your
would be
dad.
good. You should just have my dad on.
That's character, man.
So it's just a bumper,
Yeah.
Right? Is that what we just discussed? How do you want to lead into that? How do you lead into that?
Meaning, in lieu of ordering a pizza.
Yeah, this will be on the A side.
Yeah.
This is the episode before you come on.
This evening, as we're wrapping up and then you go into the name, and then he.
It's a good radio.
Yeah, it's a cold
Very
open.
good
So
radio voice there.
Joe,
This
you think
evening,
so?
it was good.
it's a cold open for
That's
the
the first
A side.
compliment I've gotten on this show.
Yeah, ever.
Don't
It's
say
like
that to
one-
me. It's going to throw me off.
It's like one Jost just calls you a deleted South Park character. The other one compliments you. It's the first time.
clearly has a favorite joke.
It's a real good cop, bad cop family.
Right.
Yeah, I really like Lisa.
Nice.
This is the most cameras. This is more cameras than we have in
It's insane,
SNL.
right? I told them it's like Impractical Jokers has half
More
the cameras.
lights,
We're
more
going to make
cameras.
100 episodes.
I know.
Thank you, Derek.
So let's start with that with the bumper.
Sure. Am I doing it to camera or just on
Please.
this thing? Okay, great. Versus like eyes closed. Yeah. Hey everyone, I'm Colin Jost from Saturday Night Live, and you're watching and listening to Pizza Beer Revolution. Welcome.
Nailed it.
Right?
Or
one and
nailed
done.
it,
One and
man.
done.
Or
You've done this
see
before.
it. I don't know which one. This is
Well, that's
during or before.
Can you do it in Spanish? We have a very big Spanish.
Claro que sí.
Way to use great.
Buenos dias. Que lástima.
I'm out.
How do you say pizza in Spanish? That'd be great. Like pizza.
Good morning. What a pity.
Me llama Colin Jost. Y esto es Pizza Beer Revolution.
L Pizza Bear Revolution.
That's such an easy
¿Cómo
way.
se dice Pizza Beer Revolution?
That's such an easy way out when you're doing names in other languages, right?
Yeah.
We have a huge listenership in London. Can you do it in London?
English?
Yeah,
in
if
London.
it will address that, yeah, in London.
In London.
Londonese.
Claro que sí.
Sounds very
We're
much.
trying to do a British accent in Spanish.
I don't want to be a stickler. It sounds very much like your Spanish.
So
I didn't bring my accent coach.
That's all right.
I guess a good way to say this is, how did you like Gianni's pizza?
Now, would you like an honest answer or a lie based on me not having eaten it yet?
Well, I will say this. I would like a little bit of both, right? Because Gianni's Pizzeria sponsors Pizza Beer Revolution. So
Oh, that's
knowing
why I was
that-
going to say how good it was.
even though
That's
you
why
haven't had
sensed-
it.
I sensed based on you teeing me up, you didn't want a takedown of
Right,
the pizza,
right,
you know.
right.
But I haven't had an opportunity to sample it yet. But I mean, just from appearances,
Yeah.
it looks delicious.
There you go. Good.
It's off the charts.
That's it.
It's off the charts. View like looks wise.
And I don't know
It's
if you
a
guys
10.
know this. This is a man who's seen many a pizza.
Yeah.
Oh, I've slept on pizzas. I have gone the full gamut of pizza
Time out.
experiences.
No one has ever said to me, "I've slept on a pizza."
Oh, I've slept on
college. What do you mean?
I slept on most foods. I fell asleep on like a full tray of buffalo wings. People will bring food and put it under my face to sleep under. I fell asleep on a hamburger in a restaurant.
Right.
I've fallen asleep cradling pizzas, using pizzas as pillows. I've woken up in the middle of the night, eaten more of the pizza, fallen back asleep on it. It's just
that's good.
It's my move. Is I eat until I fall asleep on whatever I'm eating. I don't know if they
mean,
give
if
a
somebody-
Nobel Prize for that specifically, or if it's just encompassed in the
make a
different
note.
science prizes.
I'll make a note to
And you
call
guys
Nobel.
made fun of me when I like to pee on different foods.
Well, why do you pee on food? Let's
Because it
be
was
honest.
there, and what is the opportunity ever going to come up again to pee on a ham and cheese sandwich?
Every time you make a ham and cheese
time you
sandwich.
make
I don't.
But it
I
was
don't think
there
the
for
sandwich
me.
is ever stopping you. I think you can.
But
do
it was there in the urinal, so I had to move over to the other urinal. I figured this
and
is my
a
opportunity.
urinal
Yeah.
is begging for it.
Exactly. I'm thinking this is the time.
Yeah.
What am I going to tell my children?
That reminds me. Now I remember where I left my ham and cheese sandwich.
I just seasoned
It
it.
sounds like it's still good to go. I wouldn't, based on this story, I think.
No,
you're
I'm
good
just
to
going to nap on it anyway, but I'm like, this smells like piss.
Our producer just brought you your folder. It's lovely and white.
go. Oh, great.
Those
Thank you.
are cards.
Oh,
It's a folder.
yeah, I was like, those are not.
Kelly is a wonderful woman, but she does not know what a folder
I
is.
went to school enough to know what a folder is. That was the first.
It's a trapper keeper.
Oh, good. Oh, yeah, this is excellent. This is going to be.
There's so many things in there. You can write down all your
Don't give me
plans.
some paper cuts.
I wrote down Americans, and then I was like, it was clearly just like a word association. Then I wrote down sniper.
I can't wait to see American Sniper 2.
That's great.
So
American
good.
Sniper.
The Funeral, it's called.
The one I wanted to do for our show was American Sniper 2, just the home scenes. So it's just the guy, just sniper coming home,
Yeah.
being like, "Hey, honey, I'm home. Oh, great, I've missed you. I got to go back to work."
Right.
And she's got an increasing. First, she's got like a plastic baby. Then it's like a full plastic mannequin 5-year-old. You know, and then eventually the wife is just a mannequin.
I like it.
At the beginning of the show, you said, "Hey, this is Colin Jost from SNL." Does that never, ever gets old?
Oh, it's still like I can't.
You saying
I
it,
can't
or you're
not
like-
smile because it's crazy.
Like, I
It's
just
still,
said that 'cause it's
feels
true.
Like
Like-
yeah, it feels like what you say as an 8-year-old when you're like goofing around. So it's
Right.
still very. It still feels.
Must
very,
be awesome.
very
I would
weird
introduce.
and
I would
fun.
introduce myself to everyone anytime, even people that knew me. I would still reintroduce myself.
T-shirts made, the whole deal.
Yeah,
With an arrow pointing up.
this is me.
I have a full line of Colin Jost wear.
It's like my woo wear for
Woo wear.
yeah from Staten Island.
Woo. Colin, thank you so much for coming on, man. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Normally we start the show a little differently, but I can't even bring myself to go back to the beginning.
No, I mean, you just keep going forward, Michael.
That's it. You don't
That's it,
stop.
baby.
That's why I asked
We're
before.
like a shark. You
No,
gotta
we're
keep
just gonna
swimming
start.
forward. Yeah.
We'll do a little disclaimer on the front of the episode.
Ain't no
Like-
thing.
Caution: this episode started weirdly.
Yes.
Yeah, like the listeners are going to be like, hold on.
Caution: we just sort of started this with no structure.
Right? Do you want to listen to the theme music? I'll play it for you.
Yeah, please, why not?
I'll
Of
play it gently in the background.
Yeah. Great. Just throughout.
Yeah, we'll just keep that on in the background gently. We'll pretend like we didn't start yet.
I hope you got clearance for it.
Well, we
Otherwise, we're gonna have to remove it all.
we actually wrote it. Right?
The whole theme song's a beep. The whole episode is just beep.
Dale, thanks for being here.
Right? I mean, what do you think of it?
I love it.
It's
It's great.
delicious, right?
It kind of sounds like cool Stone Temple Pilots with a female vocal to it.
Oh.
Is my breakdown of it.
I like
In
that.
a cool. I think it's in a cool.
That's not a
As
negative.
I
at
say
all.
that as a huge fan of STP.
Of females?
Of STDs. You're a huge fan of
females.
Let me get something. I mean, my Skull Candy headphones sometimes give me problems,
with the
but
Skull
you're a
Candy.
huge fan of STDs?
Yeah, huge fan of STDs. That's what I'm
that's
saying.
great.
I thought
I
I'd
thought-
come on this.
Wait,
I
spell
thought
it.
that this would be my chance. No, everyone's been holding you back. I saw, by the way, this is speaking of which, I was walking to work the other day and I passed on like 20th Street and 9th Avenue. I passed a sign. I didn't see what the establishment was. It's just a sign that said, "Give us 15 minutes. We'll tell you if you have AIDS."
Was it handwritten?
It was a full printed sign, and I was like, "What is going on in that place that you're gonna?" We were joking that it was like a psychic that just tells you, like, "I don't think you have AIDS." But then someone was saying it was that octopus. Remember the octopus that predicted World Cup games? Yeah. So it's just an octopus in a room, and there's a photo of regular Tom Hanks and a photo of Tom Hanks from Philadelphia, and the octopus just.
I like that you thought the psychic would take 15 minutes to decide.
I know. That just really sense your aura.
That octopus only had one wrong, right? It was
One wrong.
was that right?
I don't know. I thought didn't it get the
was it-
final right? Or
They got the final right, definitely, but I thought it only had one wrong.
I think it
too.
might have had one incorrect guess.
Is it still alive, that octopus?
No, it's a galamad salad down there. about 40 seconds later.
We put it on the
How are
pizza.
we supposed to know?
Oh man! I mean,
It's like you got one wrong.
Let's slicing.
I mean, that octopus is better than my shitters theory.
Oh,
Colin, you ever go to the track? The horses, the ponies. You ever bet the ponies?
I don't think I've ever been to a
Horse
racetrack.
All right, I'm going to help you out right now.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
ever go,
Yeah.
Mike's
even
got
if
a
you go to
theory.
the dog track, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Although I think the tails are cut on the dog, so it might be a little more difficult. You got to go down to the
To what? Enjoy yourself? Staring at a tailless dog.
We're talking about
Might be a little
betting.
harder to actually let loose and have fun.
You got to look. You want to bet on them. You got to go down to the paddock where they're getting suited up to run, and
Yeah.
you got to see who takes the biggest dump before the race.
Because then they're lighter.
Yes.
I mean, in
Or
that might
they're
be
more.
somebody's
Or they're
theory.
more confident.
confident.
They're just like, check this out.
Well,
all there.
It's there dropping the
all
mic.
there. I overate leading into this. That's how confident I am
Question.
as a horse.
Question.
Yeah.
The horse could be confident if it takes like a healthy.
Yeah.
Right. What if it a pebble? Still confident? Maybe embarrassed.
Maybe just
Embarrassed,
ate
like-
late.
Embarrassed, tense, or lean.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It could go the other way. I could, like the usually bigger dump is like you've been eating poorly, right? So I don't know. It might be actually.
Oh,
I wonder if I
maybe
want to
the
go.
horse went in the
I'm
mall.
going to bet
Mall
the other
waste.
way when I go.
Yeah, a
You
lot of
just
horses
blew
eat
my-
Mickey D's right before they go out there, so that's the problem.
very
Michael's
well.
mind just got blown because you said bigger dumps mean that you're eating less healthy, meaning the more waste you produce means
Probably.
Right.
I don't know
Probably
if I agree with
taking
this.
in
I'm
more
sorry.
waste.
I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't
That's
agree.
true.
I don't agree with that. You're telling me if you're drinking green, I did a juice cleanse for like 6 months.
And it all came out like a juice cleanse.
No, it came out like I
I'm
was
sorry.
healthy.
I don't think you're doing a cleanse right if you did it for 6 months.
Yeah, what
What was this?
60%.
He was hoping the license plate came out like
I
Jaws.
did it for 10 minutes a day for 6 months.
Yeah, and the rest of the day I was eating
The rest of the day,
donuts.
I kind of overcompensated.
I don't know about a 6-month cleanse.
Yeah,
but
I know.
I'm assuming you have a lot of big dumps.
yes.
I don't know. I enjoy them. Stinker tinker time. It gives me more time to.
Could we
to be
move on?
Okay. So where does it all begin, man? You grow up on Staten Island.
Yep.
Right, and
Yep.
you come from a pretty funny family, right? We've had your brother on the show, who's a comedian in his own right. He wrote for Impractical Jokers, amongst other things.
He's great.
Your sister-in-law, Lisa Kleinman, is also a very funny woman.
Impacted me less as a child.
Yes.
Right, because she comes
When
in
she was living
way
a fully
later.
separate, independent life as a child.
But later in life,
later in
huge
life.
influence.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I was basically a chemical engineer until 2 years ago when I met Lisa.
Very impressed.
She's talented.
So does it come from dad, mom?
Well, it's weird because for us, it's like our parents are like my mom's a doctor and my dad's like an engineer, like worked at Procter and Gamble as an engineer for most of it, and it was a teacher, as a public school teacher till just this year. So they're not like in like comedy jobs, let alone entertainment jobs in any way that I would have known about that as a possibility in life. But I think it's like the Irish side of my family are funny people and like joking around, like look for that. And I think my mom is someone. I think both my parents are really funny, but I think my mom's side of the family looks for comedy also in like even dark things that happen.
Yeah.
I think it's just you deal with, she works at the fire department and you deal with so much like tough stuff through that I think you have to have kind of a sense of humor about it. And
Your
so I
mom
think
works at the fire department?
Yeah, she runs the medical office for the fire department. She's been there like 20 or 35
Sounds
years. She's been there. So her dad was a fireman. His dad was a fireman. Her brother works for like dispatch for the fire department. Every single one of her cousins is in the fire department that all lived on the block that we grew up on Staten Island. So it's like every single person is involved in the fire department in some way. So I think there's that. I think the fire department tends to have a pretty good sense of humor.
Yeah.
Every fireman I meet usually wants to joke around. And it's like a fun,
Is that a little bit of a mechanism to deal with? I mean, they see some serious stuff.
I think so. I mean, I like it as a mechanism. To me, I take comedy a lot more seriously than I take most other parts of my life. I think that's like more the job that you're worried about and you want it to be good. But rest of life, if you can joke about it, feels a lot easier to get through to me.
Yeah.
I mean, Gatto, I know we've dealt with a lot of things in our family about, with tragedy, and a lot of times out of that
Comedy, yeah.
is comedy, right?
I mean,
so-
it's. I think it's also part of the camaraderie too. Like if you have a tight family, the big thing with the fire department, I think that has over the police department, all the time, is that they live together.
Yeah.
So that's why
Yeah.
there's that whole.
Yeah, and it's
bro-
intense, like 24-hour
Right,
tours that
you're there, you're messing around with people, you're together, you're
Yeah.
in it, like that, which is a big difference. I always, I have a lot of cop friends and I have a lot of fire department friends, and hands down, they said if cops lived together, they'd probably be as tight as firemen.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I really have to say, being a cop, I think, is the hardest job.
I agree.
Oh, man.
The difference when you think about cops versus firemen is almost every time you encounter a cop, it's because you did something wrong.
Right.
It's very rare. Obviously they're helping you also, but so many times you have interactions with them. It's you were speeding or you were just trying to get away with something. Whereas a
Allegedly.
fireman, you never allegedly. Right. A fireman, you only have. They're only there to help you.
Yeah, it's
they never
positive.
show up.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
And you're like, oh,
are
no,
you-
there's a
You're not going to
fireman.
do a fire, are you? Were you about to do a fire?
Drop the fire.
Yeah, it's only like, oh my God, thank you. I was in a fire.
Yes, you
it's-
saved me. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's so much. It's obviously it has its own huge fears and difficulties of being a fireman,
Right.
but the interactions with people I think are generally more positive because they're generally in a place of actively helping you, and you're not.
Right, like in a police could change your life and ruin it. A policeman, like let's say you get caught doing something, right? Like a fireman never shown up and making your
and it's it's like completely just cops are doing their job, but when you get pulled over for speeding, even though you were the idiot doing it, you're mad because they caught you. You know, I mean,
you instantly don't like them for doing their job.
You're not like, oh, the fire department caught me with a fire and they helped me.
The fire department did their job and put the fire out.
Yeah.
Well, I was talking to a bunch of my buddies who were cops, state troopers. They were like, the one thing they were saying is like, we don't want to be here. We're here because someone called to bring us here.
Yeah.
Like if you call, like the cops get called, it's like, we want to be home with our families.
Right.
We don't want to be here, and everyone automatically hates us for being here.
Yeah.
So that's
and you get how each time it must wear on you too. When every time you're reacting, that people are like coming at you with anger,
and now everyone's
like, you know what I'm doing this for you, right? It's like it's crazy.
A lot of times though, the cops take it the other way. You know, they're not. When we were driving in the van, we were in a van and we were driving back from Connecticut, and the van had a governor on it. I was driving. I was trying to get that damn van, and I've told this story before, but I was trying to get the van over 82 miles an hour the whole trip, and I couldn't, and it was like a joke. So I get pulled over. And the cop goes, "Do you know how fast you were going?" And I wanted to say 82, you know, because we were joking about it. And I didn't have the balls to say it. And he's like, "You're doing 85 miles an hour. How would you have reacted in that situation?"
Yeah, you can't be like, point of fact, officer.
I've been speeding.
Check the physics of the car. You get in here, it's impossible. You know, you have, it's...
The speed limit's because we were laughing about it because the speed limit was 60 anyway, right? So it can't be like, I was going 82.
It can't get above 82, actually. So drop it by 3 miles an hour.
That's right. Thank you. I'll be on my way, good sir.
Cops are definitely lacking the sense of humor. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, one time coming back from Mexico into the United States, they're like, "Are you an American citizen?" I'm like, "Yeah, so far." And the next thing I know, I'm in a holding room for like 3 hours.
As you should be.
Well, you know.
I think it's also you can't have a sense of humor now if you're a cop.
Right.
Like I think you could have in the past, and now if you have an interaction with someone and you joke around with them, you're at risk for having behaved unprofessionally.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure I think it's like when you're a parent and you're dealing with your kid, you probably want to joke around half the time, but then you realize, I have to be serious so they get a sense of what discipline is. I'm sure cops they just want to say funny things a bunch of times, but you can't do it because it's unprofessional. There was a guy who was actually a writer for the Lampoon who became a detective down in New Orleans. And he had a great thing of he was down there and arrested someone, and there was an episode of Cops. And he arrested someone, and the guy was like, "Officer, what's the charge?" And he looked at camera and he was like, "There is no charge. This one's on me." You're like, that was so awesome. But you're like, I was also like, I hope he doesn't get fired.
I find it weird when stuff like that happens. Like we fly a lot when we tour, and we going through a lot of the TSA guys know the show, and there's they watch it, so we get to cut lines, which is great. But like one time, one guy's like, "Oh no, they're here," and it's a group of people like around. It was in Newark, and the guy's like, "Oh, there's a group of people. Come on, let these guys through." He's like, "Nobody's got a bomb, do you?" And I was like,
Good.
It was
Yeah,
the
seriously,
TSA
broke the
guy.
rules.
And I was like,
you're like, "Oh."
dude.
You don't say the B word.
I was like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm just fucking with you. I was like, no, you're not. I was like, I have no bomb. Like,
Don't bring me
it was
into this.
so weird. Yeah, it was just such an odd choice. You're right. Like when people break the mold like that, you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's like a record scratch,
Yeah.
I remember so distinctly when I'm the last of 5, and growing up, my mom would shake the drawer and she'd take the wooden spoon out. She never had to hit you with it.
Yeah.
She'd just shake the drawer,
Yeah.
And my dad would just get this really stern look on his face, and everybody would be silent and do what he said. So. Long story short, I had 2 stepbrothers that were much younger. So we're all sitting around. We're all in our early 20s at this point. And one of my young stepbrothers does something. And my dad gives him, "Anthony, go to your room." And he gives him that look. And he's like 20 years old. My sister's 10 years older than me. And we're all like, oh shit, Dad's pissed. And Anthony went up the stairs and went and shut the door. My dad's like, and all 5 kids were like, "You son of a-"
It's like seeing behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz, man.
Exactly,
You can't
man.
give away your magic secrets.
I will never ever forget that moment ever. And now my dad drives his house, but that's another different story. So where does
That really didn't answer your question.
No. But that's what we do here.
Yeah.
Pizza Beer Revolution.
when did the love happen though? Like when did it form? Was it in high school?
No, it was earlier. It was in 5th, 6th, 7th grade, like early memories. That it was just. I think you get into things from your friends. So it was just.
Okay.
I just joked around with all my friends from grade school, like that I went to like St. Joseph Hill Catholic School on Staten Island with. It was like, you know, Lenny Leone, you guys know these guys, Michael Bodner,
Right.
you know,
They all
Mike
hung out at Full
Calcagney.
Cop, right?
We all hung out. We did like sketches together. We like recreated SNL sketches. I pretended I was David Letterman and read like top 10 lists, and somehow the teachers let us do this in an assembly. I assume now because teachers will do anything to not have to teach. But it was they were like, yeah, sure, you want to put on a whole show, great. But they were nice about it and were cool about letting us do that, which I'm very thankful for. And you just do it, and you kind of joke around with people, and you realize, oh, I love doing this. So then at that age, you don't know it's anything. It's the way you grow up. Yeah, you
definitely don't know you can make a career out of it.
Yeah, and even though you know people are doing it as careers, like you have heroes that do it. Right. Nothing in your brain's like, oh, I could do that job.
You're just trying to make your friends laugh.
Exactly.
Right?
And then high school, I went to an all boys high school, Catholic high school, and that was very much the same, of just people just joking around all the time and hanging out, like ostensibly writing a newspaper, but really just hanging out in the office that we published from, and just hanging out there till 7 p.m. because no one wanted to go back home yet. And you would just joke around and do that, and that's what I did. And I started writing things, for even that school paper, just like dumb little humor columns, like making fun of teachers at the school or things like that, and then started performing, doing like speech and debate, which is like the nerdiest way to get into stand-up.
Yeah, like DECA kind of thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. And even things like extemp or debate, which I was never as good at, and things like that, you just go and perform, and you do like a duo with a friend, like you do part of a play together, and you travel and you'd meet people, and you're like, this is cool because you get to perform, and you're, if you win, it feels like competitive and you like it.
You had the jacket with the crest on it, right?
It was all like, no one did
very
have
Alex
a blue
P.
blazer.
Right?
I remember it was the whole thing. We were all like, everyone was blue blazer and khaki pants. It was like the unsaid.
It's like CBA.
Yeah. And then like the kids at Farrell started coming with like full black suits, like the Staten Island kids with full black suits, and it was like, whoa, they're changing the game. Like, these are performers.
But like nice blazers.
Yeah, it was, and then it was like them and the guys from Philadelphia.
That's right.
Like the guys from the schools in Philadelphia came in all black suits, and you're like, all right, these guys in business. So we did that, and then you just, again, the whole thing is you're doing it for fun. And then in college was the first time that I saw, like when I was writing for the Lampoon, it started as just, I love writing. These people that I met with at meetings just made me laugh, and I thought they were really smart and cool, and I wanted to be a part of that group. And then when you started meeting alumni, you were like, oh, they actually have jobs. They actually
that's
are
when it
working
clicks,
at places like Saturday Night Live or The Simpsons, and you're like, you didn't even really visualize that as a job.
Now you went to Harvard, right?
Yeah.
So when you go to Harvard out of high school, in your mind, what is your path? Did you choose a path at that point? Was it writing and comedy was kind of on
What was your major?
end?
My major was the Russian and British history and literature.
Really? No,
yeah,
really?
I studied Russian. I lived in St. Petersburg for a little bit. I read some stuff in Russian and like studied. I just liked books. I just read books. So I read like British books, English literature that I really liked, and I read Russian literature that I liked. And it was not. I would say I spent like 90 hours a week at the Lampoon.
So you're
I was just there writing and hanging out,
Oh, so you're a fan of like when ketchup comes to mayo?
Oh my God! Can I catch up on what that is? Comes to mayo.
Sorry, Russian dressing.
Oh my God! Wow.
We usually just mute his microphone.
Wow.
I'm so comfortable.
I hear it's the greatest thrill when you make people laugh.
Oh my God.
Joe, when it happens, buddy, you're going to love it. I'm telling you. You're gonna
I hear it's
love it.
really
What about
great.
when you make them gasp and then say, "Oh my God"?
That's every show.
That's great.
Oh my God, that's great. Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah. I did that, and then I basically just spent almost all my waking hours doing comedy and being around people that made me laugh, or doing plays with them, like writing a play and trying to do it and act in it or something like that. That was just that's all I did. And then you it's only when you graduate college that you're like, I got to do something.
Did you graduate with that degree?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It once again proves.
I did a
yeah.
thesis on like Vladimir Nabokov.
No
Oh,
way.
Wow.
Doubles in 2 books I read in Russian of
That's
his. It was
interesting.
crazy. Yeah.
It just once again shows, like, I don't use my degree for what I do for a living either.
Any kid that's out there,
So
don't
many.
even worry about it. Like
Right.
I have an accounting
College
degree.
was social for me. I mean, I
it.
did well in it, but it was just a great social experience. I mean, that's really what college is, I think.
Yeah, I think it's like the biggest thing was the reason I liked college was because I found the Lampoon and I found out an outlet to do the thing I really liked doing, and I think that's the hardest thing for people in college often is you don't find that group that clicks or that kind of activity or that thing that speaks to you. College can be really hard for you, and sometimes it's like years of it's tough, and then junior or senior year you kind
when
of
it
figure it
clicks.
out or find.
That's when I got into
find a
comedy
group,
and everything too. Was right before sophomore year of college. Like before that, I was just an outgoing guy. I didn't know, I was like, I'm gonna be an art major, but
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
comedy comes. You're like, I
Well,
was
you
always
got-
doing this. Why didn't I? I went to William Patterson University in North Jersey, and then you put on your own comedy show, and then you just
Goes from there. Yeah.
get the bug.
The bug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you in the what's the comedy group at the improv group at Harvard?
IGP or the Hasty Pudding, or
I don't know.
there's another one like.
I love both the names. Hasty pudding.
Yeah,
It
that's
should have been
great.
called Russian dressing, right, Joe?
Definitely.
Get
That
out of
sounds
my
like
head.
an
It's a
improv.
hastily made
That
pudding.
sounds like an
is
improv
Russian
troupe
dressing.
name.
Yeah.
Can't wait till comedy speaks to me.
So,
But no, whatever you were thinking of, no.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I
Lampoon.
guess.
I do wish that was the thing. I remember Conan. That was advice he gave of like doing something performance-wise, like improv. He wished he had done that more in college, and I did like plays and things like that. But I wish I did more of that just for the fun of being on your feet and having to do that.
That's the biggest thing that I got at improv was just to
it's great.
think quick.
Yeah,
It's the best-
and
the best way to
confidence.
do it.
You have to do it all the time, so you just it gets very natural.
Yeah,
for
it
you.
becomes second nature just to be like, oh, here's something to say.
Yeah, yeah.
you know what, Gatto? It was kind of cool watching because I watched you start improv all the way to where you are now. Like I
Yeah.
kind of witnessed that, and it was
Well, you saw me as a kid too. Michael's my cousin.
Oh,
Yeah,
is that true?
Our mothers are brothers.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
So
Brothers are brothers.
yeah.
That part's not true.
Jen,
even possible.
as we established earlier in this
I don't
episode,
wanna-
I have a problem with genetics and timing. It's not clicking.
Yeah.
History degree, but
You use that one.
so I attribute watching you doing that to like watching a young athlete from high school to college to to pros.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like really watching you stumble to becoming what you've become now. And it's awesome to watch that because you don't attribute that to like a talent like comedy on a regular basis, right? Like people don't think of it that way. They
you
think
watch 'em
people
build.
You think people are funny,
Right.
You know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they are, and you always were, but you still had to hone that craft. Like
Yeah.
Superman had to learn to fly.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing.
It's pretty much exactly the same thing.
Isn't
Joe
it like
Gatto,
1-2
Superman.
step?
That's it. Same thing.
I don't know.
I guess did he have to learn to fly? I
Yeah,
guess
he did.
I forget.
Yeah.
Got the
Remember,
manual
he
with
would,
the suit.
He would wake up. No, he would wake up in his bed hovering, and he'd freak out and fall.
Yeah, I would always
So
think
it's
if I
kinda
was.
he almost didn't need to learn.
It happened.
just
It
It just
happened.
happened. So
You needed to learn how to deal with it.
And this is for the YouTubers, but once he figured this out,
That was it.
that was actually
This is a
huge help.
groundbreaking
You know?
move.
Not enough people can see,
was- yeah.
can hear the visual of a fist
no,
bump.
that's why I said it's for
What
the
we're
YouTubers.
doing is
Yeah.
putting our arm up out front. There we go.
So at a Harvard, what's the first job for
Yeah.
college?
Well, I moved when I moved home like anyone
does after college.
Like any normal human being does.
Same.
And then which was Staten Island, and then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna move to Manhattan. I gotta like make the break and go in. So I moved to Manhattan, and then immediately got a job working for the newspaper on Staten Island. Like
What's
the
it called?
Staten
What was it
Island- the
called?
Staten Island Advance. And so I got a job there working as an overnight editor. So I worked from 11 p.m. to 8 a.m. on Staten Island. So I had just moved to Manhattan.
Your commute in
And
reverse.
then I would like eat a dinner with my friends and stuff or something, and then be like, I gotta go to work, and I would
Staten
walk
Island.
to like an express bus to take it back to Staten Island,
Oh, you
and then
didn't
walk
hop
to
on
the
the free
newspaper.
ferry.
That's
Did
right.
it not run then?
No, I guess it did, but I think it was faster at that
It's
hour
definitely
of night
faster
to
because
take
the,
it.
the way the ferry comes on a different part of the island.
And it
it's
goes
quicker.
not too far from the. So I would do that and then walk to the newspaper. So and then in the morning I would leave.
You have the morning
completely
commute,
Yeah,
though.
you'd hit the full morning commute
wow.
in, except everyone else is like coffee and getting excited for work. Not excited, but getting awake for work.
Yeah.
And I'm like sitting there fully like in a trance of having been
That's
up all
the
night.
worst
like,
experience
like
ever,
a club
right?
schedule.
Like the scheduling wise.
Yeah, and it was actually I loved the job. I loved
Yeah.
working at that paper. It was like trying to write headlines and trying to put design the paper, put it together, write some stuff. It was a really cool job, but I didn't sleep for like the months I worked there. It was just like the craziest.
Did you find yourself trying to inject like Gorbachev into all of your headlines? No?
Yeah, I was trying to spin it for Mother Russia.
Well, you had all that
Trying
Russian.
to subtly undermine the U.S.
I don't know.
I've been watching a lot of the Americans now, so it's.
Is it good? Because I haven't caught
love
on
it.
yet.
I love it. It's all about these Russian spies that look just like Americans. And now after you watch it, I watched it for like 13 hours straight the other day.
You're looking
then
around.
you go out on the street and everyone who looks at you, you're like, it's them. You just can't stop.
I mean, that's pretty much everybody on every street corner in New York City today, right? You're kind of looking at everybody.
Spoken like a true Jerseyan.
Dude, now, did you when you were hired as a writer first for SNL,
yeah.
and then did you go through that whole audition process?
No, I submitted packets to try to get hired as a writer. So like even right after, like while I was working at the newspaper, I wrote a packet to submit as a writer for SNL, and I submitted it and just never heard anything. And I don't even know if anyone looked at it, or if they did, it was probably terrible, whatever. And so I submitted a packet and just never heard. And then I got hired, like some friends and I got hired to like write the first season of an animated show, this like animated show on Nickelodeon that was called Kappa Mikey. That I hold your applause. I noticed. You can't tell
Right.
if you're just listening. You can't tell, but there was a huge reaction. In the
Oh wait, we
I
should take it
think-
for camera then too.
Right? Yeah, redo it. It's my favorite show.
Yeah, there you go. Good.
And it was really fun to do, and it was like a lot to put on for idiot kids to write like craft. It was half-hour show to do like the first 20 episodes or something out of it.
And you found it difficult to you coming out of Harvard and studying Russian and history or whatever, and writing for the paper. Now you have to write for little kids. Is it hard to dumb down the comedy?
We didn't. I mean, I think we had one, like we would write things where like a guy jumps out of a 17th floor window and just like, it's not addressed whether he lives or dies, like main characters. And we would write things like that, and they were like, and Nickelodeon's like, what are you doing? Are you familiar with how we program our shows? Like you're after SpongeBob, And I think it aired for a little while on Nickelodeon, then it was on like Nick 2 or Nick one of
Nick
the
Jr.
Oh, when you get dropped in Nick 2, it's right.
It's tough. It's tough. It's not like MTV 2 where it's like prime time.
MTV2 is where you want to
I
be.
know that's where you're trying to get to.
Get
But
that Nick Cannon money.
yeah, I think we were on Nick Cannon, that channel. It was not Nick Jr.'s Nick Cannon.
Nick Cannon just had it on an iPhone.
Yeah,
and
we
just
played
watched
on his private television, and if he wanted to watch it, he could.
it. Right.
And so we did that, and that was really cool, but really tough, like to figure that out. Like we didn't really have the skills; we kind of had to figure it out on the fly. And then I submitted another packet for SNL while I was there, and this time I heard back and got called in, and they were like, we're going to have you come in and meet with Tina Fey and Andrew Steele, who were the head writers there.
And what's in that packet? Just writing samples?
It was like 5 or 6 sketches.
Okay.
So it was like, whatever, in 5-page to 10-page sketches, a couple commercial parodies, and then a couple like ideas for live sketches. I think 1 or 2 of which aired eventually. Like I eventually got on in some form.
That's cool. It's like from the ground up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there
I mean, your origin of SNL, like that was you submitted and ended up on air. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool, and that's obviously we had to rewrite it a lot.
Well,
because you get there and you're like, but one that never aired that I kind of liked was it was Amy Poehler doing an ad for like a birth control ad for the Rhythm Method. And just talking about like it's the greatest form of birth control. And as she's talking, she's walking around the house, and you just see more and more kids. And, like there are kids like in cabinets around the house and stuff. And she's like, it's the safe, but also the best way of going about it, like the Catholic approach. But that never aired. But I wrote those, and when I look back on it now, I think it's when you write a lot or you do a lot of stuff as a performer, you always look back on things. Yeah. And you're like, there's things you might see that you like, but mostly you're like, you see the flaws in it, and you're like, I wish that had been better, and I didn't like that as much as I thought it in my head at the time I liked it. So when I look back, I'm now like, oh my God, I'm so lucky that I got hired in any way. But I was really lucky they saw anything in it that they liked.
Well, you're also funnier when you get older. I find that like you have more experience, you're drawing from more.
Yeah, of
you know,
course.
I was much funnier now at 38
Yeah.
than I was.
Oh, it's going to turn up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Good. You'll be all right, Joe. Don't worry. Your next birthday, buddy. You'll get them.
All right.
Yeah.
You ever go back to Tina and ask her, you know, what was it you saw?
What were you
I
thinking?
have not. No, I'm too terrified. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to
right?
hear her be like, "What? Oh yeah, that." Nothing.
Oh wait, that was your packet?
yeah. No, I don't. But I feel really, that was like I'm really grateful that they had a spot open at that time and that they saw anything that they wanted to hire me for, and I didn't know that was like so intimidating at the time to meet with her, who's someone I really looked up to, and another head writer there who I didn't know previously, who's been then became like a real helpful like mentor for me at the show. To interview with them was super intimidating, and then I had to interview with Lorne one-on-one.
Oh wow!
Which I was 22 or maybe just turning 23 at the time, and so.
And how long have you been with the show?
I've been there. This is my 10th year.
Holy shit!
But I wrote for
I knew it was a while. I didn't realize it was that long.
Yeah. I mean, I was writing there, so I started like with Andy, Andy Samberg, Kristen Wiig, Bill Hader, and Jason Sudeikis had just joined the cast. So that was like kind of the group I came with, and then also like Akiva and Yorma, who Lonely Island, and Brian Tucker, who had been working at the Chappelle Show and is now one of the other head writers at the show. So it was that was our group, which was kind of a cool, fun group to come in with.
When you have those kind of performers to write for too, isn't that like
it's great?
It's great,
and
right?
to come up with them and see them and them just love hanging out with them, and know they're just really funny people, and then see them become greater and greater as performers. I mean, that's the joy of our show, is when the performers are so good when you're a writer that they make it better, and it's fun. You just feel excited to get to work with them and collaborate with them, and they're usually, great writers. Like they're, writing with like Amy Poehler was such a treat, because she could just, in an improv way, generate 100 ideas in 5 minutes. That was just as someone that's thinking in a kind of more analytic writer way. You're like, oh wait, hold on, let's get our heads around it. But it's so cool to see someone be able to do that so easily.
Yeah. How combative is it in a sense, like you're writing to get stuff on, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's very tough in the sense of, every week there's probably 50 sketches written, and then there's probably like 10 or 12 that get picked to even go to dress rehearsal. So just on a numbers level, that's hard.
Right.
Plus, when you start out, you're competing against Tina Fey, that's going to write a couple sketches.
Right.
You're competing against Amy Poehler, that's writing sketches. And that's so getting something in when I was my first year felt like really, really exciting and really cool. And when I look back, I feel like it's tough to do that. I think it's hard to get a couple things on.
Do you know what your first sketch that you wrote that got?
Yeah, my first my first show. I had a sketch. My first show was Steve Carell and Kanye West, which is a pretty awesome, kick-ass first show. And I wrote this thing actually with Bill Hader and Eric Kenward, who's there now, is a producer now, about like it was a JetBlue flight. It happened like in the news. There was a JetBlue flight that had to make an emergency landing, and it was like in the early days of television on airplanes. So the people on the flight were watching coverage. It was the first incident of that, where people were watching coverage of their own plane crash. So it was Amy Poehler and Steve Carell watching, the crash, and her being like really freaked out, and him like watching Nick Jr. and being like, "Can you believe these Terra Blue potato chips? Like, what a revelation! This is incredible." And it was very lucky too that the plane crashed safely. Right. Like it was a minor crash.
I remember watching that in the restaurant where I was a waiter. You're writing for us now, and I'm watching that on TV. But yeah, the front didn't turn or something.
Yeah.
It was like it was sideways.
Yeah.
So, and it was and people helped me with it. Always when you're a new writer, people have to help you to get things in shape that it can work on the show. So that was really exciting for Bill and I, and that was the first sketch he was ever in as a cast member.
Oh wow,
which was really cool too.
Cool.
And that was like an awesome first week, and you're like, whoa, maybe
this is easy
every week, and then the next week it's like nothing.
And then how long
on the finale?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, how long until the next one hits? For
I
you?
think there was another one. I want to say like my third or fourth show. There was another one, and then there was a gap, and then one of my other early ones when Baldwin hosted. It was one about a guy that marries a hot dog. which I remember liking because I woke up on the floor at like 7 a.m. and wrote it and was like,
On
oh, this
food
feels
again.
dumb.
Here's you waking up on food.
Exactly. That's the one time it's paid off. But that was a kid, like, you know, the way a kid will be like, yeah, I love hot dogs. And another kid's like, well, why don't you marry them? And he's like, maybe I will. And then it cut to the future. And Alec Baldwin had just married a hot dog and had half hot dog, half human children, which was like Polar
So
and Sandberg.
you write that for
Yeah.
him, right? And then you present that to him.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's got to be intimidating in itself, right?
Yeah, right.
Totally. Well, luckily I didn't have to like pitch it specifically to Alec Baldwin.
Right.
I just put it in as a script and they read it at the table because I had to talk it through with him.
Mm-hmm.
A crazy thing too is he's a vegetarian, so there's a hot dog that's throughout the whole scene that he's talking to, like just sitting on the hot dog is laying on, and then at the end he like just casually takes a bite of it, like forgetting in the reality that's his wife. But he was a vegetarian, so like as it's off camera, he has to switch out the normal hot dog for like a veggie hot dog to take a bite, which is you realize the live thing of switching that is just so crazy.
There's a thing though that in that writer's room where it's so competitive that it's okay, like a sense where like with our show too, it's like it's okay to lose is because something funnier is winning.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's
not-
kind of like that's what you're like. Oh, that's such a great idea, and then you get behind that and you try to pitch in with that stuff too, right?
Yeah, and then that's the other thing. Yeah, later in the week, especially when you're a newer writer, you get chances to pitch jokes on things or produce. You know, like I would often be helping Seth or I'm trying to think of like some other writers that were there, like Emily Spivey was a writer there, and Tishan Shannon, people that you would just be on sketches and help them produce them,
Right.
So you'd learn all the mechanics of the job,
Which
too.
helps you going
Totally,
forward.
and then it helps you think in a producerial way once you're actually managing the sketch. And early on, it's really hard, and it's not competitive in the sense of you're not like, oh, I hate them for getting something. You're afraid for your job for a lot of for your early years. You don't know what's going to happen, so you just feel anxiety if you don't have something.
Right.
It's less like and you always have opinions. You might be like, I really like that sketch. I really I wasn't as into that, but the vast majority of people that are there, you really trust, and you're just like, I like it. Even if it's not my exact style, I appreciate it, and it's a variety show.
That's what it is, yeah.
When you think back, episodes I liked as a kid of SNL, I might be like, there were two things in that episode I really liked, and there were a bunch I wasn't crazy about, but as a teenager, where you're like really, and if you get two or three things that stand out in an episode that feel really good, I think that's a good episode because that's meant.
People remember don't remember the show for the show; they remember the show for the skits.
Yep.
So, like, if you talk about your favorite SNL skits, you don't talk about your favorite SNL episodes.
Yeah, like who remembers the other sketches in the show where Cowbell was?
Right.
So, but you're like forever. You're like Christopher Walken.
Best.
Right. You remember the host and then the skit.
Yeah, exactly. You remember the host, and you're like, that is a great sketch, and you think of all of them probably forever as great performers because of a great sketch.
Right.
Yeah. Do you get to resubmit, or do you once it's called up and you've looked at it and say it's dismissed? Is that it forever? Does it die, or can you go back at it?
You can sometimes go back. Yeah, people like Forte, who was just the best, would also sometimes, if he really believed in something, like there were a couple pieces that were at the table like 5 or 6 times.
Wow,
which is so ballsy, and I loved it. But he would this one that I really loved my first season, that was Jack Black episode where he was doing a spelling bee. And he was like spelling, they asked him to spell a word, and he basically just kept saying letters continuously, like a lot of cues, and just like that perfect Forte delivery of just like B, D, Q, 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 L, like long thing before it's like wrong. And then Jack, then Tenacious D did a song after it, which I think was like the reason it got on that week eventually, because they finally had something at the end that wasn't just for the host.
Nice
too.
button for it.
Yeah, but I remember loving that sketch, and that was something you really had to, he had to push for 6 times. But it's rare. Usually you kind of, unless you are really sure of something, you kind of take the hint and be like, I generally trust my friends, and if it doesn't
you get
work,
inspired by the host too, right?
Yes.
To each week, so it's a different thing you're trying to draw from.
Yeah, versus sometimes you'll have it and you'll be like, if I ever the host is there's something in my mind, like if Stephen Colbert ever hosts, there's one idea from the past that I was like, oh, that would be really good for him. I want to try that. You get that occasionally, but it's
right. You kind of pocket it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
shelf it away.
Then the
And you
problem
hear
is,
Shaq's coming on. You're like, yes.
Pull that one out.
Yeah, there it is. Really tall man.
tall cop. I think I'll use that for Shaq.
Like you write sketches and they almost kind of like find their way to the person that they need to be for, kind of thing, or the host or
Yeah.
whoever.
Or it takes so long, and then when that person actually comes, you forgot that you had it. Then at the end of the week, you're like, oh shit.
Need something. This will work.
Oh, you going into that?
Oh, here we go.
All right.
Yeah. No.
No, I have a question after that.
That's fine. We got
Dude,
two.
after.
So this is a game we like to call top or bottom.
Yeah, of course.
You know it. You know
I
it.
assume it's the normal way I play it. Yeah.
Well, maybe. I'm going to read you two words, this or that, a yin or yang, peanut butter or jelly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
If these two things were in a relationship, which one will be on the top? Which one will be on the bottom?
Yeah.
It's subjective. It's tailored towards Colin Jost.
Thank
it
you.
doesn't have to be sexual, Colin, but hey, if you
But
wanted
the
to be
music
that way,
implies that it
and we're going to round table it.
is. Yeah.
Top or bottom, number one, puppy dogs or ice cream? We started hard. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
wow.
Get sexual with that.
I think, well, it's tough. I mean, short-term ice cream, lasting love. You got to do puppies, and I'm gonna believe in love. I believe in love and go with puppy dogs.
Well played, Joe Buffet.
Puppies on top. That's the way I like it.
Really?
Oh my god! You got your second. Oh my god from you tonight.
At least it's a reaction.
Yeah, but puppies are cool and all, but I'm going ice cream on top.
Ice cream on top, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
Top of what?
Yeah, that's the question, right? It all depends on what you're
Puppy.
putting it on top of, right? I gotta say puppies on top. I love my puppy, man. Shout out to Hank.
I
He
mean,
listens.
He's gonna love that.
my girl's
gonna
cannoli
understand it.
and biscotti.
Yeah.
I mean, them on top. Ice cream. They got a Klondike bar, ain't got nothing on cannoli or biscotti.
Gato, do you ever
So
fall-
you're putting in a third and fourth option.
No, I'm just saying my puppies.
you ever fall-
Oh, I didn't know that's your.
Those are my puppies'
It sounded
names.
like you were offering a rival dessert. I'm sorry,
throwing it in.
that sounds very normal. I
That's
think.
it.
Very
Well, of course,
reasonable
for me, you
response
know
from
me. Yeah, you know me. So,
Gato, you and I made a bet that we would, on our screensavers, have a picture of us with our dogs on it. Do you still adhere to the rule?
have these guys.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Was
What
it the
hap-
rule you had to keep it up?
Well, you know.
Well, yeah, I didn't. I changed it to be a sonogram because I'm having a baby.
Well, that was my next question. Once you have a baby,
That
what
wins.
happens?
Yeah, that wins.
Top or bottom, number two, girl at the party or drunk uncle?
Oh boy, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I think I have to abstain. Oh, come on. They're near and dear to me. I like them both.
It's like a three-way.
A three-way.
Yeah, let's do.
Let's do a
what's the,
three-way.
that's
We're
the
gonna let
other
them get
option.
away with that?
Yeah.
All right.
Three-way.
We
Yeah,
normally
yeah.
don't allow that on this show.
Yeah,
but-
I appreciate it.
Okay.
I really, I look forward to your answers though.
Joe Buffet.
I haven't really talked to many girls at parties, and I got an awesome drunk uncle,
There
so
you
he's
go.
on top.
There you go.
All right. Well done.
Oh man, Bobby Moynihan's great. They're both good, but I think Drunk Uncle on top, Girl. But I mean, like Colin, they're both hilarious, and I'm not saying that because you're right here. It's true.
I'm gonna go with drunk uncle on top, right?
Not for me. For me, it's girl at the party, man. Oh shit, killer. I love Drunk Uncle too. Don't get me wrong, but girl at the party is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. It maybe hits too close to home. I've met a lot of those girls at parties. That's
true, like,
my
yeah.
uncles didn't drink as much. But yeah,
that was a real too for Cecily. Like that was the the first one was like one of her first shows, like third show or second show, and that was just it's rare when someone comes on the show that you just see they have great poise and just get every laugh and have such comic timing. And she was like I remember like after it I was like she did that so perfectly.
Yeah.
I was so impressed.
it was really, really awesome.
Yeah, she's great.
Top or bottom, number three, Flagship Brewery or Manhattan Brewing Company.
Also, Flagship Brews in Staten Island.
Yeah,
Flagship in Staten Island.
I have to go Flagship Brewery. Come on,
I figured as much.
that's a lot easier.
Flagship.
Yeah.
I've never been to Manhattan.
And Derek's texting right now, so I guess
No. Sorry.
Just say whatever you think the two choices were.
I've never had either.
That's an easy
So
response.
we got two Staten Island. So Staten Island on top.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
I got to go with my man Jay Sykes. We were at Flagship. We did a little episode with him, and they got to be on top.
Yeah, of course. Sorry, Manhattan Brewery. You
Right?
suck.
That one was almost too easy.
I've never had either.
Yep.
Number four, SNL, guest hosts or musical guests.
Wow. I mean, I honestly, musical guests for me is the coolest. Being at the show, that's still the coolest thing to go into that room like between sketches or you're waiting to do update
Right.
and watching a music, like those are such vivid memories I have
Yeah.
of being in that studio and listening to someone so like a person you love performing like really intimately there is awesome. Yeah, that's
Yeah, I think like David Spade or someone said that they were like that was like the most amazing part, like to be able to go in and watch these like huge icons like
I bet.
rehearse,
That's
and you're just
hysterical.
sitting there, just like, is this happening? Like this is real life?
Yeah.
Must be
Yeah.
amazing.
Maffei?
It's got to be the musical guest. Watching the 40th anniversary special, I mean, you see Nirvana up on stage. I mean, how does it get better than that?
I don't like Nirvana, but I think I go musical guest and then guest host, because guest hosts, a lot of them are great, but some of them aren't that great. So musical guest.
whereas every musical guest is perfect.
Yeah.
I gotta go guest host, man. I feel like,
Touche.
I feel like for me, when I'm gonna watch SNL, I'm more drawn to who's gonna be guest hosting than who the musical guest is. I think I'm a DVR guy.
Yeah.
I call it Sunday morning live because I watch it Sunday morning
nice.
because I fall asleep.
Very nice.
You know, is that
Don't
bad?
advertise that. But
Oh well,
no,
yeah.
I'm just kidding.
So I tend to fast forward through the musical guests.
Depends on who it is.
Heathen.
You know.
I go with I'm with you, cousin. I go guest host because I could buy tickets to see Nirvana live, right?
No, you
But,
can't.
yeah, well, not anymore. But I can I could go see a musical guest perform. I can't see like Will Smith anywhere.
Just
Like
do
you
a-
you have
just do a one-man
accessibility.
comedy show.
Right? You don't see him anymore doing that. Like to be able to you don't have the access that you can as far as a musical guest goes. So for me, a guest host.
That's a good
I
point.
really respect that answer as well.
Thank you, bud. But I'll still come in fourth. I'm sorry, tied for third.
Top or bottom, number 5, the news desk or the writer's room?
Okay.
What was it again?
The news desk or the writer's room?
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say news desk. It's just an awesome thing, and is a whole new challenge now. It's really cool. It's like an exciting new thing to try to figure out and like try to get better at. So for me, it's certainly right now that's the most exciting.
You're saying be the SNL centerpiece or be behind the scenes and have very few people know you? I think I'd be out on stage at the right
Yeah.
No.
at the news desk.
News desk.
Yeah, I think we're all
Writers,
probably.
yeah, come on now.
I mean, was it a tough transition?
Well,
It's
It's actually the toughest thing was like psychologically, you're also used to being there in that, as a writer. So you're also like, then you have to start like carving mental space out for yourself as a performer, like the way you would prepare for stand up or
Right.
something, or
It's
the
kind of
way
like
you-
you're doing both.
yeah. And so you, at some point on a Friday or Saturday, you kind of have to shut your brain off as a writer as much as you can. You kind of can never do that or rarely. So, you kind of have to try to do that to just preserve your sanity.
Time to start
Yeah.
delivering.
When
jokes.
when you found that out, like did Lorne come to you like, hey, we're thinking of you
kind
as
of
our
floated it as a thing, like, is this something you think you could do?
And you were like,
what?
"What?"
And I was like, yes.
Absolutely.
I feel like I want to say yes.
made for this.
oh man, I could have.
And it was, but then you don't know what it's actually going to, he has conversations with with people sometimes where you're like, you actually don't know what the reality is going to be. So even when he was like, this is happening, I still thought it was like a 40% chance. Of that. I was like, until you're at the desk, you feel like, what is this actually going to be?
Yeah.
Amazing. It's awesome.
Man, thank you so much
Thanks
for
so
coming
much.
on.
Thank you so much.
We
It was a
appreciate it.
blast. Thanks
Yeah,
for
it was
having
so
me.
much fun. Normally I ask if there's anything you want to plug on the way out, but I'm sure, anything you'd like to say.
Saturday Night Live is on
right?
Saturday.
It's kind of silly, right?
I would love for you guys to watch it.
On Saturday nights.
It's television.
Buffet.
I say check me out on Instagram at Mumphy. I mean, don't listen to him.
Derek D.
We're recording in Fastlane Daily Studio. Why don't you watch Fastlane Daily?
Go Gatto.
Google everybody at this table.
If I could get scary, don't Google anybody.
More image search than news.
Yeah, that's right.
PizzaBeerRevolution.com. You can find us on the web, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Give us some love, and we will love you back. We'll see you next time.
Yep.
See. Thank you, Colin.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, bud.
Later.
Where's the pizza?